Well, good evening, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen around the world. Welcome to the Netfix. I am the one and only Josh, here to tell you what's coming to Netflix instant streaming in the US, Canada, over the next 7 days. Going solo tonight, which usually means a shorter show, but there's, this little thing that I've been hearing about saying, hey, there's a lot of other stuff coming to Netflix that you never talk about. Well, I give the list, or rather I gave those that Netflix provides on Facebook. Seems, the easiest way. So rather than doing that this week, I went another route and am getting this list from what's on Netflix.com. If I sound like I'm speaking a little weird, it's because new headphones, there's just a slightest bit more of a delay when it comes to monitoring my microphone. So I'm hearing myself a little bit later than I normally would. Just have to adjust to it real quick. But before we really get rolling with the usual stuff, I just want to let you know that the Netfix is a Semicore Studios podcast, and I am Josh from Semicore Studios. You can reach me at skitcomic on Twitter or at Semicore Studios. You can go to semicorestudios.com, backstageslam.com, or thewadcast.com to find out more about the other exciting Semicore shows. We do the Netfix every week, Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, and 4 p.m. Hawaiian. Also, that's our time slot. Monday, Friday, Saturday. Friday we have the Wadcast, a show for writers, actors, directors, and every position on a set in between. You know what? Offset to. Just whatever goes into making a production. That's what we talk about. And on the even-numbered episodes, we have a guest. Someone from the industry that tells us about their job, their career, what they do as part of this wonderful world of entertainment, of show business. And on Saturday, it's the Backstage Slam. If you love professional wrestling, me and Ben and Anna and Amber get together and talk about wrestling. Last week, it was just me and Amber talking about a lot of sexual assault accusations. Pretty deep stuff for a wrestling show, to be sure. But I think it's one of the better non-television related topics when it comes to wrestling. So there's all of that. Oh, and Brandon, I didn't forget about you. Brandon hosts the Wadcast with me, so I want to make sure that he gets his props. So let's jump into the top 10. The top 10, these are the things that people are loving on Netflix right now, right today in the United States of America. At number 10, it's Gaspar Noé's Love. At number 9, it's Feel the Beat. Number 8, The Nut Job. Number 7, Crazy Delicious. Number 6, Home Game. Number 5 is The Order. Number 4 is The Athlete A. Number 3 is 365 Days. Number 2, dropping out of the number 1 slot, The Floor is Lava. And number 1, no surprise, as much as we talked about it last week, Eurovision, The Story of Fire Saga. And I still haven't watched it. It is high up there on my watch list. I am still doing my annual CWDC superhero show binge. Although I've wrapped up Arrow, I am close to wrapping up Black Lightning and Flash, and I'm probably closer to DC's Legends of Tomorrow over Supergirl. So, by the way, great shows, great season. Crisis was amazing. Whew. Now I'm going to give you my 3 recommendations 3 things that you should be watching. 1 Netflix original, 1 TV series that could be a Netflix original or it couldn't. And 1 film. These are 3 things that I am recommending that you watch based on the fact that I like it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and recommend my Netflix original. It's not one for the kids, but it's definitely a I'm going to say dramedy. It's a pretty good dramedy. The Ranch, Netflix original, The Ranch, starring Ashton Kutcher and Sam Elliott. There was somebody else on the show, but then someone else came along. You know what? We're not really going to get into all of that here. I am skipping news, by the way, this week. I did not have a whole lot of time to pull things together, but I do have my alert set up, and next week news will be not only back, but better than ever. So, Netflix original recommendation this week is The Ranch. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Now, the movie I'm going to recommend is because, essentially, I love the music. It's not a bad movie. It's not a great movie. It is what it is. But it's a biopic about Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons called Jersey Boys, directed by Clint Eastwood, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, they are one of my favorite boy bands, doo-wop group. You know what? Let's not worry about labels. They make great music with the yeah, I'm gonna do it with the that stuff. Yeah, that's the stuff. Wow, things get weird when there's no one here to rein me in. Okay, so my movie recommendation: Jersey Boys. Check it out. It's definitely interesting, if only for the music alone, if you're a fan of Frankie Valli. But if you also like biopic, musical biopics, that kind of thing. Now, I don't really remember from, what to what that I recommend. I know I was going to start writing this stuff down, but I never do. And when I say my TV recommendation is a TV, it's based on a TV show, whether it's a Netflix series or an actual TV show, I'm thinking this one is a bit outside the box. I'm not even sure how to describe it. Miniseries? You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say miniseries. Miniseries is probably what's best. That's the category it was nominated for anyway, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a pretty good one. So, you won't have to invest a super ton of time into binging, like 8 seasons. It's 1 season. It's 1 mini series, but it tells a hell of a story. It's The People versus O.J. Simpson, starring John Travolta, David Schwimmer, and it's got a bunch of great people in it. Cuba Gooding Jr. It won 9 Emmys and got acting awards for Sarah Paulson, Courtney B. Vance, and Sterling K. Brown. So yes, The People versus O.J. Simpson is a tremendous look at the O.J. Simpson trial from the 90s. Some of you might be old enough to remember that. Some of you might have no idea what I'm talking about. But at the time, O.J. Simpson, the Bronco chase, the glove, the trial, it's all represented in this miniseries. And some of you, might, I don't know, I was going to say feel nostalgic, but I really doubt that's the case. So, as I said before, those are my recommendations. As I said before, I dropped the Netflix Facebook page for my source of list, my information of what's coming, because I'm been told by you, the listeners, that it's wholly inadequate. It's incomplete. And the last thing I want to do, I know this show started as the highlights, but it has turned into something of a bit of a, all-encompassing, list. It's a list show. I try to give you some information about the items that come up. Unfortunately, I don't really. Like I said, I just changed the list because somebody sent me a link to what's on Netflix.com. There are hyphens, between each word, except the Netflix.com part, of course. But I'm going to check it out. We are going to test its veracity. We are going to do this together. And if it pans out, if these things show up on Netflix instant streaming, then yeah, this could be the way we go forward from now on. And I will have more, information about the shows that are coming. But like I said, I wanted to make sure, especially at the beginning of the month. I know it's the end of the month right now, but it's going to be the beginning of the month in a couple days. I wanted to make sure that you, the people, the listeners, my peoples, have the most up-to-date, accurate list as possible. It gets kind of, a little bit frustrating to hear, oh, so-and-so dropped this thing on Netflix, and it's like, that's something I should be covering. I should be doing that. Now, the only other option I have for these kinds of situations is, to do a daily show, so I can update everybody on what's happening that day. But if I were to do that, one, it would have to be a pretty long show. It'd have to be a morning drive time DJ to do something like that, and I'm not opposed to that. I think that would be pretty cool. But, and here's a pretty big but, it wouldn't be a show just about Netflix. We'd have to talk about other stuff too. I'd have to say what's coming. As I'm talking, this sounds like a great idea. I'm going to have to figure out how to put this together. No, the Netfix wouldn't go away. It would stay the same. Stay the same. It would maintain the same kind of... I say maintain the same, and it seems to be changing on a weekly basis. But it would basically be what it is now, except... No, it would just be what it is now. And I would do it... You know what? No more on-air faculty meetings. I gotta stop. But... I gotta get a shirt that says that. But... ... Okay. It's time. It's time to talk about everything that is coming to the Netflix instant streaming service in the United States for the week of June 29th through July 5th. That sounds about right. Only two things really coming out the end of the month here. One, a comedy special from George Lopez says it's called We'll Do It for Half. George Lopez. And an anime on the 30th called BNA. George Lopez and an anime coming out on the 30th tomorrow. That's Tuesday. And nothing today, by the way. At least as far as I know. I might have been looking at the incomplete list. But here is the list from what's-on-netflix.com. Providing the list today. Just wanted to give them their propers. Starting July 1st. July 1st, that's Wednesday. Abby Hatcher, Season 1. It's a kid series, 32 episodes about a young girl and her fuzzy friend heading out on adventures. After that, A Bridge Too Far, a 1977 classic war movie from the 70s. Anne Frank, Parallel Stories from 2019. Helen Mirren narrates various stories of women that survived the Holocaust. Interesting. Next up is 1,000 Words, an Eddie Murphy comedy. Now, I remember there's something interesting about this. Eddie Murphy plays Jack McCall, a selfish literary agent who fast-talking ways all because of a deal. His next target is a new age guru. According to into the tree, and every time Jack says a word, a leaf falls from the tree. When the last leaf drops, Jack will die. With just a few thousand leaves left, Jack must learn to curb his speech, or he's a goner. Yeah, that's what it was. The more he talked, the faster he died. It was not exactly perceived well. 26% on Metacritic, 5.9 on the old IMDb. But it has Eddie Murphy, Kerry Washington, Clark Duke. How about that? And that is coming on the 1st. Also on the 1st, A Touch of Green, Season 1. It's a Taiwanese war drama series telling the story of pilots and their families in World War II. Interesting Taiwanese perspective. A Walk to Remember. It's a romantic drama from Adam Shankman about two North Carolina teens, if I'm not mistaken, played by Mandy Moore and Chris Klein? That might be something else. Shane West, I guess. Yeah, I wonder what the Chris Klein was. That movie was. I don't remember. So, nice little romantic movie from Nicholas Sparks. It's, come on. You know what you're getting into. Next up, we have Airplane. Airplane. Surely it can't be that airplane. It is that airplane. And don't call me Shirley. One of the greatest comedies ever made, and one of the greatest spoof comedies ever made. Let me correct myself there. Although you know what? It's subjective, but objectively, it's one of the greatest spoofs ever made, as it takes on the disaster movies of the 70s. There were a glut of them: The Towering Inferno, The Poseidon Adventure. And gotta be honest, this is not a movie that could very well get made, considering some of the jokes. It probably wouldn't get made today, but it's going to be there in all of its airplane glory on the 1st. So definitely add that to your watch list. Up next, Ali. A biopic about Muhammad Ali. I gotta admit, I've never seen this. So it's going pretty close to the top of my watch list. Starring Will Smith, of which I cheap plug for a different streaming service. On Disney Plus, I've binged every season of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So it'd be nice to see Will Smith once again, because you just can't get enough of that guy. Now, this next one excites me a lot, and it's not just because it's another chance to see Kevin Conroy, but Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. When you take the style of Batman the Animated Series, make a feature-length film, what you get is Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. If you're a fan of Batman the Animated Series, and you've already seen this, but if you're a fan of Batman and you haven't seen this, by all means, On the first, you are in for a treat. Charlotte's Web. This is not the classic animated. This is not the classic animated children's cartoon. No, this is the live action 2006 version. It is honestly not as good as that animated classic, but it's not horrible. Although, it would have been nice to see a little smorgasbord. Anyway, Chico Bon Bon Monkey with a Tool Belt. Season 2, Netflix original kids show. Animated adventures with a clever monkey. Chico Bon Bon Monkey with a Tool Belt, Season 2, Netflix original kids show. Clash of the Titans. Clash of the Titans. Yes, it was remade. But guess what? This is the 1981 version. Directed by Desmond Davis. It's the classic. It's the OG, if you will. Definitely better than the remake, in my humbled opinion. Most originals are better than their remakes, but that's what makes the ones that the remakes that do it well so special. Scarface, being remade, was a remake. I do believe, hold on, if I remember correctly, there was Scarface. It was like a silent film or something, and then that got remade, which was it's considered like one of the greatest movies of all time or something. And then, it was remade again with Pacino, and that's considered one of the greatest movies of all time. And are they going to go for a threefer? Try to get 3 movies about the same thing, essentially. Somebody struggling in America and then becoming powerful, and I don't know. But Clash of the Titans, 1981, it's good. Cleo and Cuquin, Season 1, kids animated series. On the first, Cloud Atlas. There's a name I haven't heard in forever. It's only described as Warner Brother Wachowski multi-reality flick, when in reality it stars Tom Hanks, Halle Berry, Hugo Weaving, and it's about... How do you describe Cloud Atlas? The actors take on multiple roles in an epic that spans 5 centuries, according to Google. An attorney, blah, 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 blah. Basically, you're following these people through several lifetimes? Is it the mold? Okay, I've never seen it. But it's certainly not smiled brightly upon. I'll put it that way. Next up, David Foster, Off the Record. It's a music documentary about David Foster. Funny, right? Who'd have thought? Not the thing. Dead Wind, Season 2. It's a Netflix original crime drama from Finland. Definitely Maybe, 2008. A rom-com starring Ryan Reynolds. Before he was an action star, he was the rom-com guy because he's cute and cuddly and snarky. Delta Farce. Now, Delta Farce is, of course, a play on the title of the Chuck Norris series of movies called Delta Force. Yes. And, okay, think of it this way. It stars Larry the Cable Guy, DJ Qualls, and Bill Engvall. I think that's all you really need to know about Delta Farce. I saw it. It's funny. But, I mean, you know what it is. It's like a lowest common denominator comedy. A little bit of something for everybody. Not highbrow, but not, trashy. Let's see. Donnie Brasco, 1997 film starring Pacino and Depp. Now, for those of you that don't know what Donnie Brasco is about, again, one of those films that I haven't seen, so I'm eagerly looking to check it out along with some of you. You know what? That might be our watch-along movie this week. But more on that later. It's about an FBI agent who has infiltrated one of the major New York mafia families and is living under the name Donnie Brasco. He develops a relationship with a mob hitman, played by Al Pacino, in order to get deeper undercover, but ends up developing a real friendship with a mafioso. Whew. Okay. Double Jeopardy. It is a crime drama starring Tommy Lee Jones. It says it stars Tommy Lee Jones, but that is not really... he's not really the star. It was directed by Bruce Beresford, but it has Ashley Judd, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there it is. Ashley Judd is the real focus of the story. And the idea being she gets sent to prison for killing her husband, and she claims she never killed her husband, and then she finds out that he's not dead. So she wants to know if she's already accused of killing him. What happened? And, she's accused of killing him and found guilty, even though he never died. He was never attacked. What happens if she really does want to kill him when she gets out? That's what this movie's about. It's a very good premise. Next up, Fiddler on the Roof. Musical, 1971. 2002, Frida. I'm sorry if if it cuts out for a second. I clear my throat, press the button for the it's called the cough button, but it cuts out the mic so you don't have to hear me going into the microphone. So that is why you're hearing me mute myself every so often. But if Ben were here, he would usually be talking over that. So I just wanted to explain that real quick. Frida, 2002, a biopic on Frida Kahlo, as played by Salma Hayek. Up next, Heist, a.k.a. Bus 657, 2015 movie. Robert De Niro thriller about a robbery that ultimately goes wrong. Of course it does. Otherwise there wouldn't be a movie. I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry. Kevin James and Adam Sandler pretend to be gay and get married. For benefits. And then they're investigated. So, for as weird as that sounds and for who it stars, it was, in my opinion, it was actually done, incredibly well. Killing Hasselhoff. Ken Jeong and David Hasselhoff star in this comedy about a nightclub owner resorting to desperate measures in order to pay off a loan shark. Why did I want to say long shark? Kingdom, seasons 1 through 3. It's about an MMA trainer. That's what it says. It's okay. Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. The Jim Carrey version is coming back. I knew what was on before because the kids and I kind of watched it as we compared it to the Netflix original series. Mean Streets, a Scorsese flick starring De Niro. So Scorsese, De Niro, check it out. It's always a good watch. $1 Million Baby, directed by Clint Eastwood. About boxing. 2004. It got a lot of recognition when it came to awards. Paranormal Activity, 2007. And one of the few movies that I've walked out on in the theater. 3 movies. I've walked out on 3 movies in the theater. This is one of them. The other 2 were Black Hawk Down, which I kind of regret doing that now. But I went to see it with a friend and her sister and like her sister's friend, and the ladies were like, all, this is kind of boring. Let's get out of here. And of course, my young mind at the time was like, yeah, let's get out of here. But naturally, that was definitely not on the cards. My mind went to a weird place when I was younger. But the other one was District 9. Once again, one of those movies that I regret not staying for. But I gotta be honest, with the way ticket prices for the theater are these days, well, not these days, but when theaters are showing movies and they're charging so much just to get in, and then of course, you gotta have popcorn and drink, so you gotta do that. They generally give you, kind of like a 30-minute, what's the word I'm looking for? They give you 30 minutes to walk out, essentially, for a full refund. And District 9, love that movie now, but at the time I was like, oh, this is like Alien Bureaucracy, the movie. Got it. I'm gonna go somewhere else now. Yeah, that one was my decision. And when I went to see Paranormal Activity, I was really excited for it. I really wanted to see this movie, but again, it was it just started out so slow, I guess. I was like, I don't think I'm in the mood for this. And I gotta be honest, it's came out 13 years ago-ish. And yeah, I still have not apparently been in the mood to watch it. Out of those 3 movies that I mentioned that I've walked out on, that's the only one that I haven't gone back to at all. The other 2 I went back to, and I absolutely fell in love with them. So maybe I should, complete the challenge, watch the movie. Who knows? Maybe I go 3 for 3 with being wrong about walking out on movies. 2016 presents Patriots Day. It's a movie starring Mark Wahlberg about living in Boston, of course. It's about the Boston Marathon bombing. Poltergeist is also coming out that day, although it seems this website, as well as the Netflix Facebook page, make no clarification about which version it is. If it's the one from the 80s, you're good. You're good, because that is freaking classic horror. It is an amazing film, to be certain. But if it's the remake, I haven't seen it. If it's the remake, I'll watch it, just so I can say whether or not, I think it lives up to the original. As and a little aside, I don't think it's going to. But that's just me. If you want to check it out, just check it out, Poltergeist. If it was made in this millennium, it's the remake. If it was made, in the 80s, it's the OG. Quest for Camelot. 1998. Warner Brothers animated movie. It's one of those movies that didn't get a lot of love. And still doesn't. 35% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.3 on IMDb, but Voodoo gives it a 4.4 out of 5. It has Carrie Elwes. It has Pierce Brosnan. It has Gary Oldman. So, great cast, for a cartoon. Definitely a good one for the kids. Red Riding Hood, 2011 horror retelling of the classic kids' tales starring Amanda Seyfried. So if you're looking for a horror movie, Red Riding Hood comes out Wednesday the 1st. Resgate is a thriller about a man released from prison to find his mother in deep debt. By the way, we are still on the first, boys and girls. Ride on Time, Season 1. Ride on Time. It's a Japanese docuseries looking at the male music group. Say I Do, Surprise Weddings. Netflix original reality series where couples overcome obstacles to win their dream wedding. You can see couples make idiots out of themselves for big prizes. But that's not a bad thing, if you're enjoying it, if it's your thing, dig it. Schindler's List, 93. Spielberg, Liam Neeson, saving, people from concentration camps, black and white. It was a very powerful movie. But also in that same year, we got Sleepless in Seattle. It's a rom-com starring Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, the unstoppable duo. They would also go on to do things like You've Got Mail. Sleepy Hollow, 1999, Tim Burton, Johnny Depp. If you've watched, or rather listened to the Wadcast, especially the last episode, I waxed poetic about Tim Burton quite a bit, and the style that he is known for. I considered him kind of an honorable mention in my, I actually named him for one of my top 3 directors because of, not this movie, but Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Anywho, that's a tangential conversation. The thing is, Sleepy Hollow was a pretty good movie. Definitely worth checking out because it takes something to the lore, adds a little bit of Tim Burton panache to it, but it fits his style perfectly. So if you're Burton head and you haven't watched this, you'll be able to do that on the 1st. Spaceballs. We know we talked about Airplane earlier being one of the greatest spoofs of all time, but Spaceballs. Talk about a highly quotable movie, just like Airplane. This one, of course, a take on, Star Wars. May the Schwartz be with you. And it's Mel Brooks doing a take on space adventure. Again, at the time, it was pretty much Star Wars. But yes, Spaceballs, one of the absolute greatest comedies of all time. John Candy. Rick Moranis. From Little Shop of Horrors, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and Ghostbusters. No, I'm not going to say that one. Let's see. I kind of lost track of where I was because somebody wanted me to say something about a movie with Fine. Strange Brew. Yes, I know. Talking about Strange Brew reminds me of the finale of Cinema de Fromage, and the finale where I had to argue on that podcast why Strange Brew deserved to be the winner of that season when it comes to the cheesy movie competition, I guess. And I failed. But I failed closely. But when we talked about, you know what, we are, when I say we, I mean, not me, are gearing back for Cinema du Fromage. It's a wonderful show about, cheesy films. And we watch a movie, talk about it, and it's good stuff. We kind of, go through it, talk about it. Death Race 2000, Halloween 3, Strange Brew, things like that. It's time for me to get my list in, and yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to add, what I want to make other people watch. I think that's bless you. I think that's the important thing. That's the biggest deciding factor. What do I want to make other people watch? Because they have to watch it. Splice, 2009 horror movie about two doctors creating a hybrid animal for medical use, but it all goes horribly wrong. Why? Because it's a movie. 2007 brings us Stardust. It's a fantasy movie starring Charlie Cox, Claire Danes, and Robert De Niro. Starsky and Hutch. Now, it says it's unclear which version, but I am going to guess that it was the remake, because if it was the TV show, it would probably say seasons da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I'm going to go on a limb and say that is the movie with Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller. Sucker Punch. Talk about Snyder. Ever since hearing about the Snyder Cut for Justice League is going to be on that other streaming service, here we are. Sucker Punch heading to Netflix Netflix into streaming US. I've not seen it. It seems like it would be something right up my alley. Really weird, really visual. And you know what? It might be time for me to check it out. 9 years. Sucker Punch. Swordfish. Whew, that is a movie, to be sure, starring John Travolta, Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry. It's from 2001. That in 2001, I know I might be a little too old to really say, scratch that. In 2001, when I saw the movie the first time, it was the first time that I saw someone's, a villain's motivations and really understood. I didn't think he was like right or anything, but I understood that the concept behind a great villain is making him believe that he's doing the right thing. That is, ever since that moment, every time I write something, I want my villain, my antagonist, to be justified in everything they do. There is a way to do chaos and anarchy without, having to explain it in story, because, at least you understand that this guy's justified. His actions to him or her are absolutely justified. And when John Travolta, explains his plan and what he's trying to do and how it's going to benefit, humanity or whatever, I was like, whoa, this guy believes what he's preaching here. So that makes him more dangerous, because he believes that he is on a noble path. And I think the thing to remember about this movie is, okay, look, I'm not Mr. Skin, okay, but I will let you know that one of the things that really sticks out in this movie, other than the fact that it has Wolverine and Storm, is there's a scene with Halle Berry in it, and she's sitting by the pool, and she, I guess, doesn't want tan lines, so, I mean, you get what I'm throwing down here. And I was like 19 at the time, and it was like pretty rad. I hope you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. So The Art of War came out in the year 2000. It was the Wesley Snipes movie. And, you know, pretty good. Pretty good action flick. More action-packed martial artsy than he was really known for at that time. Because, you know, you got the Passenger 57 type movies. And, yeah, you know, it was action, but it was like cop action. But this, The Art of War, it really... It took him in a different direction. The Devil's Advocate, 1997, starring Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves is on a big kick right now, isn't he? He managed to, you know, use his, I don't want to say his star power, but he leveraged some of that star power to attach his name to Bill and Ted 3, and that's going to be coming at some point. I mean, it's basically made, but of course they moved back the release date so it wouldn't have to go head-to-head with Tenet, Christopher Nolan's next movie. I gotta say it's probably a smart choice. But those are two movies that I would definitely go to the movie theater to see. Although I don't believe I need to see Bill and Ted 3 in a theater for the quote-unquote experience, but I think just as a way of supporting, you know, something like this, it's, yes, I support something like this. I'm really interested in seeing it. I'm really looking forward to it. But the Devil's Advocate, what happens when you actually have to be the Devil's Advocate? And I don't just mean, you know, hey, let me play Devil's Advocate. No, and it's like, what happens when you have to be, like, literally Satan's lawyer? So that's what that movie's about. See, it's a mystery thriller. It is definitely not a comedy. Although, if you took some of the plot points and wrote it down on paper, you'd say, nah, this is comedy, right? Because nobody would take this seriously. The F It list is I didn't say the F word. Sue me. Or don't sue me, because I didn't do anything worth. So it's a 2020 high school comedy. So yeah, I'm going to get one of those cop button things again. The Firm. Although it says unclear which version. I'm going to guess the movie version with Tom Cruise, maybe? Don't really know much to say. The Governor, Season 1. It's a Nigerian political thriller. Nigeria. I'm going to check that out because that sounds interesting as hell. The Karate Kid trilogy. The Karate Kid Part 1, the Karate Kid Part 2, the Karate Kid Part 3. According to some, it's a trilogy of movies about a really jerk kid named Daniel LaRusso. You know, people are entitled to their opinions, but I guess we got to understand that Daniel's not a villain. Well, if you look at what he... Okay, I might have fallen to the side of, he's not a great guy. But this is the classic tale, starring Ralph Macchio and learning karate and... okay, I'll never say it like that again. Learning karate. There we go. And, you know, we got, you know, in the first one, do the crane kick, and the second one was something else. Was that the one with the drum? And the third one... So in the first one, it was, of course, the tournament. The second one was Miyagi going home. And the third one was Daniel becoming a student of Cobra Kai. something like that. It's all in preparation for Cobra Kai's upcoming release onto Netflix instant streaming. Also, on the 1st, we're still on the 1st. The Town, Oscar-nominated movie from Ben Affleck, starring Ben Affleck, Rebecca Hall, and John Hamm, and it follows the planning of a new job by a notorious thief. 2010's The Halt. The Witches, great movie, great book, 1990, adaptation of the classic Roald Dahl tale. It is tremendous. Definitely worth it a check out. Although, some images might be a little too scary for those that are really, really younger, but it's not by any means, bad. This Christmas, there's nothing like a Christmas-themed comedy from Regina King in July. Total Recall. Arnold Schwarzenegger, 1990 version. That's right, to get your ass to Mars. It's time. I went from Arnold to Tommy Wiseau, I think. Cringe. Tro, Season 1. It's a kids' animated series. Also coming on, guess what? The 1st. Under the Riccioni. Maybe if I do this in a really terrible, offensive Italian accent, it'll make sense. Under Ricci. Yeah, I got nothing. Riccioni. Okay, it's an Italian romantic teenage drama movie, Netflix original. Italian Netflix original. Unsolved Mysteries, Season 15? Netflix original, Season 15? It's a reboot of the classic series. And if you don't know what Unsolved Mystery is, they talk about a story that's unsolved. Okay, that's a terrible way to describe it. How about, it's Unsolved Mysteries? A little better. It's produced by the team behind Stranger Things. It's where they look into several unsolved cases and paranormal stories. Unsolved Mysteries. And finally, that's right, the final thing coming out on the 1st. The 1st, mind you. This is the Wednesday content drop, and there's more days to go. Winchester, a 2018 film starring Helen Mirren. It's a biopic of the firearm heiress, Sarah Winchester. So, Helen Mirren starring in a biopic of the firearm heiress, Sarah Winchester. Moving on to the 2nd. Hunter and the Blue Side of Manchester, 2020 drama about a graduate taking on the job of being a reporter for an English soccer team. Tiago Ventura, Pocas. Netflix original Brazilian stand-up special. Warrior Nun, Season 1, Netflix original. With a name like Warrior Nun, it's got to be good. Warrior Nun is the brand new comic adaptation coming to Netflix. Wow. Basically, action, nun, warrior, Xeno with a habit. I guess. Oh, and that's everything on the 2nd. On the 3rd, Cable Girls, the final episodes of the Spanish period drama season about phone operators in Madrid. So when they say Spanish, they mean Spaniards. Season 5, Part 2. And that's it. That's all she wrote about that. Also on the 3rd, Desperados, Netflix original comedy directed by LP starring Anna Camp. Ju-On, Origin, Season 1, Netflix original. The Grudge is rebooted into a serialized Japanese format. It's The Grudge, but it's a series, and it's a Netflix original. Southern Survival is a reality survival series. I wonder if that just means, like being, you know what? There's a Southern joke here that I'm not gonna go for. Even though I'm in the South and I'm allowed to say it. Even though I'm in the South and I'm allowed to say it, I ain't gonna say it. But, I want to get a better handle on what Southern survival is. Let's see. Southern survival. What good is surviving disasters if you can't have doing laugh along as the battle box crew prepares for the worst? Testing our products designed to help people survive dangerous situations, including explosions, natural disasters, and intruders. Right. So they're testing safety gear in hilarious fashion, maybe? Next, Sugar Rush. Not that Sugar Rush. It's a 2019 Nigerian comedy. That's right. Nigeria. Also on the 3rd, The Babysitter's Club, a reboot of the classic kids series. Netflix original. The Perfect Picture, 10 years later. Rom-com from Ghana. On July 4th, also known as the 4th of July, we have Hook Season 1. It's a weekly K-drama series starting on Netflix. Oh my god. Ben's going to be so upset that he didn't get to talk about Hook. He loves K-dramas. And Penalty. It's an Indian sports movie. I do believe that means it's from India. On the 5th, Only. It's a 2019 film about a mysterious virus that emerges that's lethal to the world's female population. So it only affects women. Get it? Only. Also on the 5th, The Underclass, Season 1. Another K-drama that's Korean drama that Ben will have a full report on. You hear that, Ben? Full report. On the 6th... Wait, am I only going... How far am I going? I'm only going to the 5th. So, hey, that's actually everything. That's like literally everything. I spent 35 minutes reading a straight list. That's not even breaking down. You know what? I kind of like doing that in this way. Not, let me know on Twitter. Whoops. If you like me doing it this way, where I'm like, this is coming, this is coming, this is coming. Oh, here's a little bit more about this one because I happen to have that information in my brain. Or do you want me to do more information about all of them? Or should I just do a straight list without adding any new information or stories? Gotta be honest, that one, I'm probably wouldn't even consider doing something like that. Because if you wanted to just hear a list, you could look at the list from the place that I said to get it from, which is what's on Netflix.com with hyphens in between each of the words. What's on Netflix.com. No, they're not paying me to say this. I'm just making sure you know where I get my information from. And that way, if somebody says, hey there, you took that stuff from that website, I'm like, yes, and I happen to mention the name of that website several times on the show. So maybe you should listen to all of the show straight through instead of just skipping around. So a lot of this came from what's on Netflix. A lot of this stuff came from that website that I was just mentioning. Well, it appears we've reached the end of tonight's program. What did we learn? Well, I'll tell you, we learned a lot about things that are coming to Netflix over the next 7 days. That's what we learned. So I hope that everything is going well where you are, and I will take into serious consideration coming out with a daily, not a daily Netflix show, but a daily, conversation show, a drive time show, something along those lines. I don't know when it'll be. I don't know who will be on it, but we could definitely add more stuff. Like, hey, what's coming to other streaming services as well? It's like, hey, this is stuff you can start watching today. That kind of thing, huh? I mean, I do. It would have to be longer than an hour. Well, I got to stop doing these behind the scenes meetings in front of a microphone, or not. I don't care. I'm Josh. This has been the Netfix. As always, you can reach me on Twitter at Skid Comic or at Semicore Studios. By the way, if you're going to be looking for Semicore Studios on Facebook and you find it, give it a like. I don't always put stuff on there, maybe because it's stuff. You gotta do it. Stuff. But if you want to go there, give it a like. I update it occasionally, just like the Twitters. I get on there from time to time, let you know what's going on in the world of Semicore Studios. But if you are the kind of person that only listens to downloaded episodes, does not join us each and every week here Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and 4 p.m. Hawaiian, if you are not the person that's leaving the dirty little emojis in the chat, if you are not the person that's sitting here asking me questions and wondering why I haven't gotten to you, if you are the downloader, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. Let the world know. Let the world know what you think about Semicore Studios, and that way our little shows here can move up in the algorithms and we can get more viewers and we can get more people to talk about movies. Finally, sorry, didn't mean to yell in your ear there. One more bit of news I want to get to before we hang this all up. I want to say, I'm not going to be back in town until Friday, so Friday night is the Wadcast. Join us Friday night for the Wadcast. Cold Reads is coming back. That's going to be pretty sweet. Brandon gives his recommendation for a nice movie, most likely an indie movie, to watch. I'm trying to think of a good time. Maybe we get together after the Wadcast, which would be roughly around 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, and then 5 p.m. Hawaiian. If you want to get together, watch a movie around then on Netflix. So we'll start a Netflix watch party. Keep an eye on those Twitter accounts. That's once again at Semicore Studios and once again at Skid Comic. I will make sure I update it. And if we do a Netflix watch along party, then you will be invited. You can, like I said, check the Twitters, check the Facebook, or, SemicoreStudios.com, BackstageSlam.com. thewadcast.com, and I don't know how many more words I can say before I just, keel over. So I'm going to go ahead and let the music carry me away.